You are 38 years old and you have keys that most people don't know exist. Not the front door keys, not the teller station keys, the other ones. The ones on a separate ring that you keep in your left jacket pocket every single day. Because regulations say they cannot leave your person during business hours. You have the vault combination, all 3 segments of it, memorized so completely that you could recite them backwards in your sleep. You know exactly which cameras have a 2-second blind spot when the motion sensor recalibrates. You know which alarm trips on the South Corridor and which one hasn't worked properly since the contractor switched it over in March. You know all of this because it is your job to know all of this. You are the vault manager at a regional branch of one of the largest banks in the country. You have been doing this for 11 years. You are very good at it. You have also, in the last 6 months, started doing something you never expected to do. You've been planning the perfect robbery. Not because you're a criminal, you're not. You have a mortgage and a 10-year-old daughter and a commendation plaque on your office wall, but you've been doing the math. And the math keeps arriving at the same answer. The job sounds impressive until someone asks what it actually pays. You manage the movement of cash in amounts that most people will never see in their lifetime. Last Tuesday alone, you processed an armored carrier delivery of $2.4 million. You counted it, verified it, signed for it, logged it, distributed it to the teller drawers according to denomination and demand forecast. You did this the same way you do it every Tuesday. Carefully, professionally. For a salary that, after tax, doesn't cover your mortgage and your daughter's school fees at the same time. Your wife went back to work 2 years ago, not because she wanted to, because the numbers stopped adding up. You've had 3 meetings with your branch director in the past year about a promotion that keeps getting discussed and never materialized. Last month, your car needed a repair that cost $1,400. You put it on a credit card. The balance on that card is now $6,300 and rising. You stand in the vault every morning and count other people's money, and then you drive home in a car with a check engine light that came back on 2 weeks after the repair. And somewhere in the gap between those 2 facts, an idea started growing. Here is what an outsider doesn't understand about robbing a bank. The hard part isn't getting in. The hard part isn't the vault. The hard part isn't even the cameras or the alarm systems, though both of those are genuinely complicated. The hard part is the money itself. What happens to it after? How you convert it from a federal crime scene into something you can actually spend without putting yourself in a cell. You know this because you know what the bank does to its own cash. Every note in your vault is tracked. The highest denomination bundles have bait bills mixed in, sequentially numbered notes whose serial numbers are on a list at the FBI. Die packs live inside certain stacks, disguised to look like regular currency. Pull them too far from the building, and they explode, coating everything within a 3-foot radius in bright red dye that doesn't wash out of skin for 3 days. Newer branches have GPS trackers embedded in the cash itself, small enough to hide in a bundle of 20s, sensitive enough to ping a location every 30 seconds to a private security company's monitoring center. You know which stacks have the trackers. You know which drawers have the die packs. You know this because managing those systems is part of your job description. You know exactly which money is clean. The dual control rule is the thing that keeps honest people honest. It sounds simple. No single person can access the vault alone. You need 2 authorized employees present for any vault operation. Opening, closing, large cash movements, everything. The combination itself is split. You have 2 segments. Your deputy manager, Karen, has the third. Neither of you can open the vault without the other. This is not a technicality. This is the entire architecture of the system. Every vault access is logged with both employee IDs, time-stamped, and reviewed by the regional compliance team every Thursday. It's a good system. It's genuinely a good system. It assumes that while 1 employee might be compromised, 2 is unlikely. The probability of both people going bad at the same time, independently, without collusion, is low enough to be the foundation of an entire security philosophy. You've been thinking about Karen a lot lately. Not like that, professionally. You've been thinking about what you know about her. Karen has been at this branch for 7 years. She's dependable, she's honest. She has a sick mother in assisted living that costs $4,800 a month. And you know this because she mentioned it once in the break room in the kind of voice people use when a number's too large to say normally. You've noticed she started bringing lunch from home every day. You've noticed she drives the same car she drove when she started. You're not going to ask Karen to help you rob the bank, but you've noticed her. And noticing her has told you something important about what it takes to push a careful person past a line they never thought they'd cross. The fantasy version of this, the movie version, involves a crew, a team, someone on the outside with a van, someone covering the cameras, someone with a background in electronics. You've seen the films. You know the genre. The reality of your situation is this: every person you add multiplies your risk by more than their usefulness. The Loomis Fargo robbery in 1997 is the case study nobody in your industry talks about directly, but everybody in your industry knows. A vault supervisor named David Gaunt, making $8.15 an hour, processed $17 million a day, and finally decided he deserved some of it. He had the access, he had the knowledge, he knew the building, the cameras, the schedules. He executed the physical robbery almost perfectly. He walked out with $17.3 million in a single night. He was the only suspect from the moment his colleagues arrived at work the next morning and couldn't open the vault. His was the only employee ID not clocked in. There was security footage of him doing a small celebratory dance while loading the cash into the van, which investigators watched the following day. Then his co-conspirators, the people he trusted with the money while he hid in Mexico, immediately moved from a mobile home into a mansion and bought a BMW convertible with cash. One of them walked into a bank and asked the teller out loud how much she could deposit before the government had to be notified. 88% of the money was recovered. 24 people were convicted. Gaunt got 7.5 years. He was caught in Mexico eating lobster. The crew didn't make the plan safer. The crew was the plan's fatal flaw. You've been running scenarios. You know the armored carrier schedule. Monday and Thursday are the heavy days. The carrier brings the weekly cash replenishment and takes the excess back. On a heavy Monday, there can be upward of $3 million moving through your vault before noon. You know the window. 15 minutes after the carrier leaves, before the afternoon balance verification, there is a period where the cash has been received and logged but not yet distributed. Everything is in one place. You know this window exists because you created the procedure that generates it. You also know the following things that no outsider would know. The panic button in the vault triggers a silent alarm to the monitoring company, not to local police directly. There's a 90-second lag between activation and the monitoring company calling the branch to confirm before escalating. 90 seconds is a specific number. You know it because you tested it during your last security audit and wrote it in a report that no one above you has ever actually read. The time lock on the vault door sets automatically at 6:47 p.m. Before that, during business hours, the door can be opened by dual control at any time. After that, nothing opens it until 7:53 a.m. the following morning, even with both combinations. This is not a vulnerability. This is the opposite of a vulnerability, but it defines your window precisely. Everything has to happen between open and 6:47. Specifically, it has to happen in a way that looks like something other than what it is. You've thought about what other than what it is might look like. The cleanest version doesn't involve a physical robbery at all. You've thought about this. You know how cash moves. You know the carrier manifests. You know what a rounding error looks like in an audit. You know the difference between a discrepancy that triggers a flag and one that gets noted and rolled forward. You've been reading your own compliance reports the way a chess player studies a board. You're not looking for weaknesses in the system. You're looking for the places where the system trusts you. The system trusts you in more places than is comfortable to think about. It trusts you because you've spent 11 years doing everything correctly. Your audit record is clean. Your variance reports are some of the lowest in the region. You have never, not once, given anyone a reason to watch you more closely than the procedure requires, which means you are, at this moment, the least suspected person in the building. This is the thought that keeps finding you in the quiet moments. Not the planning, not the money, just that fact. The most trusted person is also, structurally, the most dangerous one. The system that you have spent 11 years reinforcing has, as a side effect, made you the one person best positioned to dismantle it. You haven't done anything yet. You want to be clear about that, at least to yourself. You have not moved any money. You have not taken anything. You have thought about it. You've built a fairly detailed mental model of how it could be done, and more importantly, how the aftermath could be managed. Spending slowly. Different accounts, no lifestyle changes for at least 18 months. Nothing that looks like sudden wealth. Nothing that looks like David Gaunt celebrating in the vault footage. The mistakes are always in the aftermath. You know this. Everyone gets caught because of what they do after, not during. The during is the part you control. The after is where the plan meets other people's stupidity and other people's greed and the simple human inability to sit on $400,000 and drive the same car you drove before. You think you could sit on it. You genuinely think that. You also thought 11 years ago that you would be making more than this by now. Karen stops you in the break room on a Wednesday afternoon. She looks tired in a way that has been building for months. She pours her coffee. She says, without looking at you, that the assisted living facility is raising rates again. She says the new number. She says it the way people say numbers that are too large, flatly, like she's reading a weather report about someone else's life. Then she looks out the window and doesn't say anything for a moment. You don't say anything either. You're thinking about the third combination segment, the one she carries, the one that means nothing opens without both of you agreeing together on the same day in the same place that it should open. You're thinking about what you know about her, about what she knows about you, about 11 years of mutual trust and shared combination codes and a security architecture that was specifically designed to stop either of you from acting alone. You're thinking about whether that same architecture would stop both of you from acting together. You say, things are tight for us too. She looks at you, just for a second, and there's something in that look you can't quite read. Maybe sympathy, maybe recognition, maybe something else entirely. She takes her coffee and goes back to her desk. You stand in the break room for another few minutes. You're doing the math again, the same math you've been doing for 6 months. Only now there's a variable in it you didn't put there. And the math, for the first time, is starting to feel less like a fantasy and more like a plan. You go back to the vault to run the afternoon balance. You enter your 2 combination segments. You wait for Karen's. The door opens with the sound it always makes. Heavy, certain, the sound of something engineered specifically to not be moved. You step inside. The overhead light comes on automatically. $2.1 million sits in counted, logged, verified stacks. You stand there for a moment in the particular silence of a room with steel walls. You think about the commendation plaque on your office wall, about the check engine light, about your daughter's school fees and the credit card balance, and 3 meetings about a promotion that was never going to happen. You think about David Gaunt in his vault in Charlotte at the exact moment before he made the decision that rewrote the rest of his life. You wonder if he hesitated. You wonder if he stood in the silence and ran the numbers one more time and thought about the camera tape he was about to forget to take. You wonder if he felt, as you feel right now, that the scariest part wasn't the risk. The scariest part was how reasonable it had started to sound. You close the vault door. You log the balance. You go back to your desk. For now, you go back to your desk.